Hi everyone, welcome to episode 8 of the Right on Cue podcast. Today I've got world number 114 with me, Ryan Thomerson, as you can see him.
Hi, Mike.
How are you, Ryan? You all right?
Good, thank you.
Good. Thanks for joining us today.
No worries.
And we'll crack on with some questions. So the first question I always ask my guests that come on is, where did your love for the game begin?
I used to every now and then go with my dad to a snooker hall in London that his best friend used to own in Holloway.
Yep.
But never really took any interest at all. But more where it came from was when we moved to Australia when I was 11.
Yeah.
And I went into a pool hall that had 3 snooker tables as well, called Fast Eddies. And that's where I kind of started playing a bit more regularly, and then that's where I picked it up, really.
Yeah, was it something that you automatically fell in love with?
I don't know. I can't really remember, but it's something that I really enjoyed at first, doing with Dad. And my brother used to do every now and then used to come as well. But yeah, I used to do motocross when I was growing up, so that was kind of the thing I loved.
Yeah.
But as when I moved to Australia and I kind of kept playing more and more, that's where I started kind of loving snooker, and then knowing that that's all I really wanted to do all the time.
Yeah. So you just said that you moved from the UK to Australia when you were 11. Was that to do with your family? Were they from there originally, or was it job related?
No, they just Dad's from Hackney and Mum was from Kent.
Okay.
We used to live in Erith in South London, and it was just kind of one of those things that was kind of looking for, everyone does, a better life, really.
Yeah.
From just kind of getting away. But my dad had his sister and uncle and brother-in-law there, so we'd been for a couple of trips over just to see what it's like, and travel around a bit, and then kind of decided that that was the right decision.
Transition for yourself being so young?
Sorry?
Was it an easy transition?
I think for myself it was easier to take. I still left loads of friends, obviously, from school and stuff, because when you are 11 you kind of do know what's going on.
Yeah.
But for me being 11, I think I took it easier than what I did maybe my brother and sister, because my sister's 2 years older than me. My brother he's 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
So it probably would have been, for them, they're 15 and 13. It's a bit, maybe it takes a bit more of a toll. But for me, being 11, it was kind of you kind of got no choice anyway. You kind of go where Mum and Dad go at the time.
Yeah. So when you started playing, you reached 6 amateur finals, and you won 2 of them. You won the Australian Open Championship in 2017,
Yep.
and the 2022 Asia Pacific Championship, which got you your 2-year tour card.
Yes, I just kind of, before the year before I won the Open, which was 2017, in 2016, that was kind of my year that I had a good year. I won the tournament in Adelaide. It was I can't remember what it was called. It was a ranking event in Adelaide, so I won that. And then I won a tournament called the Fred Osborne, which is kind of a tournament that I grew up playing in Australia, going with Dad. And there used to be a Calcutta for the last 16, so a dinner on the Calcutta night as well. And it was just a huge tournament. They used to get over 128 players.
Oh, right, okay.
And then it was always that tournament that I wanted to win. I ended up winning that one, and I think that was about it for that year. But then when 2017 came along, I won. Well, I got runner-up in the Fred Osborne the year later. I won the South Pacific. I then won the Australian Open a couple of weeks after. And then a couple of weeks after that, I won the Revington Classic, which is winner take all, $12,500 at the time. And the loser, everyone got $500 for turning up.
Yeah.
And then the number one, whoever won it, got $12,500. So, and that's when I come to England straight after that, the day after.
Yeah. So because you moved to Australia, do you have dual citizenship? Because
yeah, Yeah, I have both passports.
Classed as Australian, aren't you?
Yeah, I am classed as Australian. It's kind of like a very like it's just one of those things that I've just made the most of, and having both passports has just allowed me to, when I do come here, I don't need a visa. But I mean, being like Australian anyway, it kind of, you're in that one of those countries that it's kind of easy to get a visa for England anyway. So you never think. But I do obviously, I am very lucky to have both passports. But I've never, so I've been here full time for about 7 years, but on and off been coming here for about 10 years since I was 17. But I've never played in like a English amateur, like a Europeans. Like I choose not to play in any of them. I could play in the English to qualify for the Europeans, but I chose not to because I just want to be Australian basically.
Okay.
Because if I played them, then I wouldn't be able to be basically classed as playing for Australia.
Right.
So that's why I don't play in that many comps over here.
Okay. So when you won your 2-year tour card, what do you remember about the tournament itself?
Well, I used to go back for it every time it was on. So every either February or March it was on. I'd be over here for a couple of months or a bit longer because from 2017 I've been here full time. So I used to go back just for that tournament. And it's always or it's normally at the same venue in Mount is in Sydney, with the one where they just had the WSF.
Yeah.
And I've grew up playing there in tournaments. I won the Australian Open there, and I love the venue. Tables are very tough. They always are when we go there.
Yeah.
But they did do their most this year last year for the Asia Pacific, and they reclothed them with Superfine, which is a bit quicker than what they used to use. And they played a lot better than what they used to.
Yeah, is that maybe because of the humidity and stuff?
It's always that time of year where it's like hot and like really humid in Sydney, and at the time it was like flooding and stuff, and it was just raining non-stop. So that really took its toll on the tables. But I played in the Six Reds first. That was like the warm-up tournament for it, and I could hardly pot a ball. I couldn't make a 10-15 break at all. I don't know. I'd come from England like a week and a half before it, so I thought I was prepared well, but that really took my confidence out of knowing what was going to happen. But it come to the men's, and then all of a sudden something just clicked, and I don't know. I made 3 or 4 centuries for the tournament. I had the highest break board for the whole tournament with breaks over 50, and played really well. But I mean, the match for me for the tournament was mine against Andy Lee in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
I won that 4-3, but it was a good match. I made 100 and a 70 break. I think Andy made like another break, like a 60 or 70, another break over 50. And for me, that was like I win this, and this is like going to be, it's basically, it has to be mine, really. Can't get through like a match like that and then go down. I kept staying up, and I mean, I won the final. I think it was 5 or 6-1 in the final. 6-1 in the final. I won my semis. I won that like 5-1 as well. So I was happy with that. I thought it was a great tournament.
Yeah, good. So have you got any aspirations or anything like that in terms of whilst you're on the professional tour for the next couple of years?
Yeah, obviously, everyone wants to win a tournament. Everyone wants to be in the top 16. Everyone wants to win the Worlds. But really, it's just one of those things that there's no. For me, I don't like setting my target as like winning the Worlds or winning the tournament. It's just not. It's just so much pressure to put on yourself, especially in my first year. Like for me, my target was to finish the end of the season in the top 80. But I did kind of not have a great start to the season. I mean, I lost one of the matches that I kind of threw away. I lost 4-3 to Sam Craigie, the first round of the Northern Ireland. That match I threw away. But I think since before Christmas, when I qualified for the German, I had a good win there in the first round against Dylan Emery. And then I lost to Joe in the second round, but then the next tournament, I won my first round match against Andrew Paget in the Welsh.
Yeah.
So just the last few tournaments, at least I've kind of got through the first round, which is kind of really, that's like the first goal, was just to try and like win the first match.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because if you win your first match in 80% of the tournaments throughout the year, like that's a lot of ranking points. That is, and yeah, I mean, I've been practicing the hardest. I've been like, well, since getting on tour, this is the hardest I've been practicing. So hopefully, looking forward to the Worlds, and obviously tomorrow, my goal is really like if I can get a match in tomorrow, for like in the WST, and a couple of matches in the Worlds. I know that's going to put me exactly where I wanted to be really at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's just my first goal. But then if I reach that goal, then obviously I want to get further into the tournament. But to get in that top 80, I know exactly. It's like one match and two matches in the World, and then I've got my goal for the season. Even though it's not been a great season, I've still reached my goal, which was achievable at the start of the season. And I've said it since I got on tour. Like I did an interview when I got on tour, and that was my target then. It's still the same. There's no point me looking forward to trying to get into the top 64 because it's just at the moment it might be an unachievable goal, but top 80 is definitely achievable.
So then if you can get into the top 80 at the end of this current season, then you'll be aiming for the 64, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that like being in the top 80 will just, in a way, will take some pressure off to then knowing that to get into the top 64, yes, there's a big money jump, but it's just like 16 spots higher. So it just takes a lot of pressure off going into the next season, knowing that I'm at around the 20,000 ranking points, and that's really a good start for the next season.
Yeah. So your nickname is the Tomahawk. Is that something that one of your friends gave you or family?
No, I mean I've been called it before, but the World Snooker was the one that the first time I saw that was on the World Snooker website. I looked at my player profile. I didn't even I was looking at the start of the season. I was like looking for my player's profile, but it wasn't up. And then when it did come up, it was at Tomahawk. So I mean, I was happy with that. Anyways, I mean, I used to be called Skippy when I was growing up, playing pool in at Fast Eddie's where I grew up. I used to play pool for him in a league when I was about like 16, 17. And they used to call me Skippy because like every time I'd like walk around the table looking at the balls or pot a ball or miss something, I'd go like that. So they used to call me Skippy.
Oh, okay. And you prefer the Tomahawk, I'm guessing?
Tomahawk's all right. Yeah. I mean, it's nice just to have a nickname.
Yeah.
You normally just don't really get given one. It normally comes when you like start kind of doing up the rankings, but it's at least nice to have one.
Yeah. What do you think the most important skills for a snooker player to need, and how do you work on improving what you believe to be the important stuff?
In terms of like technique and like your game.
Well, a bit of everything really.
Well, one aspect is obviously these days if you can't score, then well you won't be able to compete. You've got to be able to make breaks. Safety is a big part, but for me, it's all about when you get a chance in the balls.
Yeah.
That like you're either going to take it or you don't, and if you don't at least make 50 these days, then you kind of like not even winning frames. But even when you're making 50s and 60s, you still can lose frames on tour.
Yeah.
But most of all is obviously your head and like mentally. Like if you're not mentally strong when you're in tournaments, then you're behind straight away. So for me, like it's more mentally, which is what I've always struggled with.
Yeah, I was saying,
like being like confident and like really believing in myself is kind of, I think, more my issue really. Like knowing that I am like good enough. Like I've got to the stage where I'm pro now, but just thinking that you're good enough to compete and stuff. So for me, like the last few months have been really good. So just trying to improve my practice and really make sure that when I am practicing, I'm practicing everything right, playing all the right shots, which will then come into tournament where I'm going to be in a better state of mind, knowing that I've been playing well, practicing everything right, and you can't really do any more than that, really. As long as you practice, then yeah, for me, if you go into a tournament and you don't play very well, at least you know you've practiced. But if you don't play very well and you haven't practiced, then you're not even giving yourself a chance.
Yeah. So how often do you practice, like on average?
I mean, I try and do like between like 3 and 4 hours solo if I do solo, and for me that's like a perfect amount because I don't stop.
Yeah.
I might stop for a toilet break, but that's all I stop for. I don't like have half an hour off after I do a couple of hours. I like to get my practice done.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing like Neil or Joe, like yesterday I played Joe and we played 10 till 3, but most days we'll be playing till 3:30 at least. But if I play Neil, we played 10 till 3 as well. I've played longer, like I've been and played Stan Moody and played 11 till 6.
Yeah.
But for me, solo 3-4 hours, like minimum. I rather do 4, but for me, like a minimum 3 to 4 is like perfect. But yeah, playing someone, God, there's some boys that are playing each other for like 8 hours, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't see the advantage of playing like 8-9 hours. I don't like. I've never believed in playing for that long.
Yeah.
I can play for that long if I want to play someone, but it's not something I do every day. It's just you're gonna get wear yourself out, and like it's gonna have a knock on effect eventually. I used to do it when I was growing up, before an Australian under-21 tournament, and I was practicing like ridiculous, like I thought to myself that this is a good idea, but then when it come to the tournament, I played so bad because I had no energy and I was just feeling terrible.
Yeah.
So I now work it that I work into a tournament. So like playing Joe yesterday for like 5 hours almost, that's like perfect for me. Then to go to today to Leicester, have I've booked an hour, but normally because there's only 4 tables there in Leicester, you can normally like no one's really on the practice tables
Yeah.
at certain times. So I'm going to try and get a couple of hours solo today, a couple of hours tomorrow before I play, and that's perfect for me.
So who are you playing tomorrow?
David Grace, not before 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
so it could be a late one, but yeah, no, I'm really confident at the moment. I'm in a good space, and yeah, that's all you can really do.
Yeah. I should probably point out this is going to be going out after your match, so
Yeah, that's fine.
either well played or not.
Bad luck. If it's bad luck involved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll cover both bases on that one.
Yeah.
So what's your approach to training and preparation for a tournament? Is it just get on the practice table for your 3-4 hours?
No, I mean I've got a puppy now with my fiance, so I just enjoy like this morning I took him out for an hour's walk. We do that I do that on days where I'm just doing solo.
Yeah.
But I do try and mix it up. Like recently I've been playing a lot of match practice. But like this week I played Neil on Monday, I played Joe yesterday. Tuesday I played Joe at night, and then today I would never play. I don't like to play people like the day before I play.
Okay.
But as long as I get like an hour the day before I play or hour and a half, I'm happy with that solo. And also the day of when I'm playing, normally like an hour, really, hour or two. But I always stay at a hotel. I will never not stay at a hotel the night before, even though it's only in Leicester and I'm an hour and 10 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Just for preparation, I always stay at a hotel. So that's kind of my main thing is being at a hotel the night before.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So obviously in snooker you're going to get setbacks from losses and other stuff. How do you deal with that sort of situation? What do you do to sort of, G yourself back up again?
Eat trash food. Like I hate losing. Like I am very good, like better now. Like if I lose a match, like it's fine, but I would just like to eat junk food. Like go to Macca's straight away. But like I used to be terrible, but now I'm alright. I just hate losing. I mean, everyone hates losing, but I really
Yeah.
hate losing. But I just kind of like look to reflect on where I went wrong. Like if it was my fault, if there was some like bad run or whatever, or if your opponent plays that well, then you can kind of put it down to that. But I hate losing when I've not played well. If you know what I mean? Like, you can play well and lose, so I don't mind that. But it's not playing well and giving your opponent just so many easy balls, and that's
So how do you manage your work life and your personal life? How, like, time balancing? And obviously you said you've got a puppy now. You're going to be getting married as well. So
for me, I've been very lucky with meeting Brittany, because she loves like snooker and pool and stuff. So she supports me a lot there with that. And like with Oreo now, I think we've just kind of like, we're in our own house. I think I've put myself in a position where like I am happy, and I'm in a good place at the moment. With Joe's down the road, I go and practice with Neil still, and it's just trying to get yourself in a position where you can just relax and like go to work, like go to snooker, like, which is work, and then come home and like just relax, and like it's a nice vibe, and just I mean, I don't know how I'd do it if I was on my own, but having Brittany is just like, it just works perfectly. And I mean, I enjoy living over here. It's a shame with my family back home. My mum was over here for a few months, or 4 months. She went home just after the Welsh Open. So it was nice to have someone else here. And I think she's going to come over again this year again. And hopefully my dad comes over. But I think that's the only kind of thing that I struggle with, is not having any family coming over very much. And also me not being able to go to Australia. I think if I can get to Australia this year would be nice. And that would take it just helps, you know, like when you kind of go back, see all your family, and then you can refresh and then come back over again.
Yeah. You mentioned a few questions ago about you struggle with the mental side of the game. Have you ever considered working with someone to help?
I mean, I have tried, but I've mainly done it when I was a lot younger, when I was around, God, what would I have been, 15, 16? The Victorian Snooker Association in Australia, they did sort of like a grant, but also picked a few players to go and do some like stuff with some people at the Victorian Institute of Sport, and it's just stuff that I've done there. Also, I've done it like solo with someone as well at that place, and I have tried it here, but for me, it is all the same. But it's just using those tools. I find that like it is really helpful, but like these days when I do it, if it's the same as what I was told before, for me, all I was lacking really was practice, because I was missing that structured practice, which then has a knock-on effect to you mentally, because you know you haven't practiced enough going into a tournament. Whereas now I've changed that, and I'm just in for me, I'm in like perfect space at the moment, and just making sure I'm practicing, because then I can use those tools. I can't use those tools if I haven't practiced. So for me, I'm just I've put myself like in a good space, and like I said, I won't look to be using anyone in the near future anyway. For me, I just want to just put myself in a good place and practice. I'll get the most out of that.
When I had Peter Devlin on the last episode, and Gary Filtness, I'm sure you probably know Gary.
Yeah, Gary used to, like, my dad used to like play snooker a long time ago, so they know each other.
He put forward a really good question, so I'm gonna ask yourself as well. Do you prefer a flat 128 draw? Would you prefer a tiered sort of system in tournaments?
God, I had this debate with Joe, kind of like, well, not debate. I had just have this discussion with Joe like almost every practice session. But it's I don't know. For me, like when you go pro, I think I really enjoy this format it is at the moment. I think it was a bit of a tough one to take when they took away the UK Championship format from a flat 128.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, the venue was good at the Ponds Forge, but I didn't enjoy playing on the tables that were at the back where they were going the wrong way.
Right.
I played on one of those three, whereas the front ones were like how it should be. But I would rather play in those conditions at the Ponds Forge than I would being stuck out in the back room if I played a lower ranked player in York.
Yeah.
So I like the flat the seat. Was it, what do they call it? It's a staggered. I prefer the staggered tournament definitely for the UK. I mean, you have to for the Worlds. You can't not have it for the Worlds.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of maybe the home nations being qualifying in one round.
Right.
I would like to see that back to what it was, but again, it's we do play in like really. I like to think it's like for me, I really enjoy playing kind of anywhere because I'm pro now, so like that's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But this year they're doing it as like 4 tables in qualifiers, so really that's better than being stuck in, say, like in a room where there's 10 tables and you can't even see that 10th table in the corner because you're stuck. But now it's 4 tables, they're all streamed. Yes, you have to qualify for a tournament, but it's one of those things being a low ranked player, isn't it? You kind of like that's just how it is. Like I think it would be a shame to go back to the structured system, whatever it is, the tiered system. I just don't see how it would benefit going back to that system. But obviously there was a meeting yesterday, so I don't know what the discussion was really about. But I don't know. It's for and against, really. What did the other boys say? Were they?
But it was only Peter that the question got put to, but I probably will start putting it to all of you because I think it's a really good question. Peter said he'd like to see it split, so some of the tournaments, the flat 1 to 8, and then the others like staggered.
Yeah, I think like when the China tournaments come back, I don't know how they're going to do it, but a tiered system for the Chinese tournaments would be okay because really, who wants to go all the way to China in your first round match and pay £1,500 expenses and you're not even on anything? So them tournaments definitely, I think, should be any overseas tournaments outside of Europe. I think should be a staggered start, or they just obviously do what they do now with the home nations, where they just send the top 16 at least. But yeah, I'm home nations. I definitely am for sticking it to a 1 to 8, but everyone going to the venue. But then again, all the money it costs to have 128 players at a venue. Like at the moment, the venues are like I played in Clondud now in round 2 against Lazowski, and that was like awesome playing in. I played on table 2, so the second main table, and in front of a crowd. And for me, I'd done well to get past the qualifiers, and that was my reward to play there.
Was that the match where Jack got that outrageous fluke against you?
Yeah, it's had I don't know, it's had 750,000 views. That has. Yeah, that was crazy. That was. You know what? I played really well. I mean, I missed a couple of easy balls that I should normally get.
Yeah.
But overall, I was happy with that match. A couple of mistakes, but I played well overall.
So, do you feel comfortable when you're on a streaming table or live?
I do now. The last couple of matches, I felt like so much better. Like against Paget, I made 3 breaks over 50 against Paget and a 49 to win the match in the last. That was obviously streamed. Against Jack, I felt a lot better. It's one of those things you've got to get good at trying to deal with. Being on camera in front of people or just playing in general in the arenas. Because if you can't, you're not going to be a good snooker player.
Yeah,
You got to enjoy being there. And I think it took me a while at the start because I was just so not used to it. But now I feel a lot more like raring to go to the tournaments.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Is there any advice you'd give to any up and coming youngsters that are looking to get on the pro tour?
For me, I think they should just be doing as much league tournaments as they can. For me, that is, yes, practice. But for me, I grew up playing 4 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, had some billiards on one night, which was a Thursday. The other 3 nights I was playing in Pennant, which is like the league over here. We used to play 3 frames, and there's 6-man teams, and you play on 3 tables or 2 tables the second half of the season. But I used to get taken because my dad was playing in the A grade, and I was basically in the D grade. I started off as. I ended up getting to number 1 in A grade, but it took me like 4 or 5 years to be playing in the A grade. But that for me, I used to get transported everywhere by a really good family friend. But that for me is what really has made a difference. I think a lot of players these days, like younger kids, it's a sacrifice that their parents have to take. So it is a hard one. It does cost money, but if you can really afford to try and push the kids into playing tournaments, you can't emulate tournament play in practice. It's just not possible. So that's all. That is my advice I give to, if there's a couple of younger guys I know. I've always said play tournaments, play Q School. Yes, £1,000, but the experience you're gonna get, you can't get that in practice.
Yeah. So just
playing tournaments, really. If you want to play the game when you're younger, you're gonna want to practice. So you're already practicing.
Yeah.
You need to practice hard, but you're already practicing. But add in tournaments or league like once or twice a week. That is where you'll see a bigger boost.
Yeah.
So for me, playing leagues and tournaments and stuff is for me the advice I'd give to younger players playing.
So you went to a school quite recently, didn't you, with Neil Robertson? How did that come about, and how was that experience for you having to?
I mean, because obviously the tournament for the English Open was in Brentwood.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to start kind of going to a school leading up to it, like a local school, and giving out some tickets. So for me, I am all for juniors getting into the game. I don't care what it is. If it involves getting kids to play snooker, I will always say yes. And I mean, I love the opportunity. There was about 25 kids there, and they all loved it. I think it was year 6s.
Yeah.
And just playing on the Q zone table. We even had town chalk, and it was luckily because Neil bought his cue in the car for some weird reason. So we ended up using his cue, which made it even easier to kind of show him a little demonstration.
Yeah.
But they were so enthusiastic. They loved everything about it. They were doing autographs at the end. They were so, they just enjoyed themselves so much. They also got a shot each or a couple of shots each. And I think doing that sort of stuff is the way to really try and help push getting some young kids to play the game. A few of them did say that they actually have played snooker before, or they've played pool, but a majority haven't. But if you can do this thing with 20 to 25 kids, then if just 2 or 1 or 2 take it up, then that's what you want. You're not going to expect to get 15, 20 kids start playing snooker, but you can expect 1 or 2 to start playing snooker, or even just watching it.
But you said about that you used to play a little bit of pool when you were younger. With Mark Williams, Joe O'Connor, Selby, going over to Ultimate Pool every so often, is that something you'd maybe consider doing?
My friend is, Jake McCartney. He's on the Ultimate Pool.
No.
He's on the professional one. He's from Australia. He plays it, and I was kind of getting in touch with him in January about maybe playing in it, but just clashed with loads of tournaments for me. And where I am at the moment, pool is just not. I don't want to incorporate pool right in the middle of a season with tournaments surrounding it. I just played last weekend. I played the Welsh Open billiards in Clonelly. And for me, the reason I played that was I enjoy billiards and going away with a few friends. But I'd been practicing really hard with snooker, so I just thought I'd allow myself to kind of dabble with billiards. Which I'm gonna start doing anyway, playing billiards. But it's on the snooker table and snooker balls, so it's not it's not bad to go and do that. Whereas going to play pool is one of those things where I think it's in Blackpool or it's quite far
Yeah,
away.
they do quite a few in Blackpool.
And yeah, like you're a good like 3-4 days away, and I've got so many weekends where like I'm away. Like I'm hardly home at the moment, like with weekends and during the week.
Yeah.
That it for me right now, it's just not a good fit. But I am trying to get into the one in Australia. I don't know if you've seen that, Pocket Sports.
I think I might have actually.
They're getting it like huge. Yeah. That is on Foxtel, which is like Sky over here.
Yeah.
That is like massive, and the money's huge in that. So I would potentially, if I'm going to play one of them, I would rather do it in an off season and fly to Australia and play that than I would play here, because the opportunity of just being Australian and playing over there and that.
Yeah.
I would much rather do that than I would probably play over here.
Well, if anyone's watching, you might get a call.
Yeah, hope so. That'll be one I would definitely go for.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't clash, though, right?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't clash. Like I said, I don't mind if like the billiards was last weekend and I'm playing like tomorrow, but I've been practicing loads and it was still on the snooker table.
Yeah. So just briefly getting away from snooker for a second, you've been doing a bit of collecting for Ramsey Food Bank.
Yep.
How is that? Obviously, in the times that we're in, food banks are a necessity for quite a few families. Was that why you decided to raise money and donate food and stuff?
I mean, for a while, I've wanted to do something. I'm always like, we go to a local bingo, so at the moment.
Well, I've got a question about that. So.
Yeah, we go to a local bingo, and I go with Joe and his partner, and I go with a couple of other really good friends of ours now. And every month they raise for a different like charity or a different person for different things. And for me, doing that at the first like few times really kind of was like, I need to actually like do something now. And I just thought that it'd be really nice to kind of like raise some money. Yeah, it was £250, but I went and did the shop myself, and I got so much food and took it there that it was just something that I wanted to do. Because I heard, I think Brittany said the other day, she said Ely Food Bank, they gave away 500 tons of food, but they'd only been donated about 150 ton.
Okay.
So the difference, like the amount of food, is just so much. And if people are really like in that need, and then like people rely on food banks, like a lot, like there's families out there that really don't have anything and they are struggling. So I just wanted to like help that food bank, but then if another food bank around the same area, I think there's about 3 different ones, they'll donate some of their food to that food bank to help that kind of area. So I thought even if I help Ramsey, it's still going to have a knock-on effect to go into like the Chatteris one, the March one, and maybe Ely. So I just thought it was just something nice to do. I mean, I've raised another, I'm on £40 plus another £50, and there's just a few other things I'm going to do to raise a bit more money to then do another shop, and do it maybe like middle of the year this time, or like closer to the end of the year. I might even save up the money a bit more and do it closer to Christmas, because obviously that's when I mean people are going to need it a bit more.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome cause, and it's great that you're doing it.
Yeah, no, it's nice just to help out.
Yeah, right. We've got a few questions sent in.
Yeah,
you're going to have to explain some to me because it's right over my head. So, chap called Barry Russell says, how many fivers?
It was just a thing from the billiards last weekend where myself, him, and Gary was like, we qualified through the round robin for the billiards, and then we put on a fiver, like who would make the highest break in the day.
Okay.
For like that day, and I ended up making an 84. I lost by a point to Rob Hall in one of my group matches. And when the time had finished, Barry was playing on the next table, and I said to him, I've got that fiver now, and I said I've made 84, and he said he just made bloody 87 break, and Gary had a 70 odd in his match. So Barry ended up bloody winning the fiver. And then we put it on again for the Sunday when we qualified for the last 32. But I didn't win again. I think Barry won it again, but I'd already left before Barry played, so he didn't get his fiver.
Well, you owe it to him. The bet's a bet. Bridget Knowles says, "Have you won at bingo lately?"
That was only because we played like a bingo to like the charity bingo. I put on like we normally go to the venue every Friday when it's on, but we never win. We hardly ever win, but we won online when we did like they do it if they don't do it at the venue, they do it on like Facebook every now and again, so the money still goes to the charity. But we ended up winning £10, which paid for the bingo.
Oh, that's it. I like a bit of bingo because there's no skill involved.
No, it's I enjoy it. Like we do it like I think it's like twice a month. But obviously at the moment all the tournaments are clashing with the Friday. So like I played tomorrow. Yeah. And then last weekend I was at the billiards, so I've missed it the last couple of weeks. But Brittany went to the charity one last week, but it was like a spooky woo night. Yeah. So like it was fortune tellers. It wasn't bingo, but it was still like they raised £1,200 for a little boy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so they do it. That's why I like supporting them.
The best thing about bingo is the old bidders that get angry.
Yeah, and just like when they're talking about the numbers, like when the machines saying out the numbers, you get all these noises around the room. Yeah. Like quack quack is like 22. Yeah. You get all these other ones. Yeah.
When I was on holiday somewhere, they did like a bingo across the whole country.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of booze going around because someone won, it was just mental.
Yeah, no, do you know what? There's some good prizes that get donated and that you can win for like one line, two lines, or a full house. There's some good prizes. There's one that's normally like an air fryer for like a raffle. Okay. So everyone buys raffle tickets. It's like a Ninja a dual air fryer. Yeah. Like it's some great prizes. And yeah, no, do you know what? It's so much fun. I haven't. Look, I was just going to show you. This is the puppy while we're on.
Yeah, right, pup.
Yeah, no, we really enjoy it. It's just, do you know what? It's just I don't drink and stuff like that, but yeah, I like enjoy going out for the bingo or like walks with dogs. Like I enjoy all that stuff now. Yeah, I might be getting on 60, 70 years old, but I enjoy it.
Right, a really couple of random ones next for you, even more random than what I've just asked. Sean O'Boyle says, "How long have you been bald?"
Sean's like a pool player from Cambridge, but I mean he's bald as well. So yeah, for me, I've always had thin hair, but I think I just shaved it. When did I shave it? God, it must have been about. God, I had hair when I first met Brittany, so it must have been about 2.5 years ago.
There you go, big 2.5 years. If
anyone's wondering. But I mean, it's just down the middle. Like I was looking at the whole turkey thing, but I think I'll just embrace the baldness.
Yeah, why not?
I don't mind it.
Last question was sent in from Huskerd. Why is your dad better looking than you?
Because he has hair, probably.
Because he has hair.
But yeah, that's debatable. That question's debatable. But yeah, he has hair. So thin hair, but he has some hair.
I do like the random questions that get sent in because
you're always going to get some.
Yeah, I'm always going to ask them though. If people comes in, I'm going to ask them. They can ask anything, and I will ask it. Whether it gets put in the edit or not is a different.
Well, yeah, that's right.
But I will always ask. So, if you had a Mount Rushmore of snooker, doesn't have to be players. If there's anyone that is an inspiration, it could be a referee, it could be a tournament director, it could be Barry Hearn, for example. It could be anyone. If you could have 4 snooker related on a Mount Rushmore, who would it be?
A Mount Rushmore?
Come on, you must know what Mount Rushmore is. I know you're Australian.
No.
Never heard of it. With the presidents on the mountain.
No, never heard of it.
Jesus.
I take it it's just one of those things where you've been stuck with 4 other people.
Well, no, it's like Mount Rushmore is a mountain in America where they've got like 4 presidents on.
Oh, have they? Yeah, no, sorry, I never heard of it.
Wow.
So it's just people you look up to, or you've like favourite player or something like that?
Yeah, it could be any. Yeah, we'll go with your favourite players. We'll go with that.
I mean, yeah, I used to live with him and like good friends with him, but Neil is always like my favourite player.
Yeah.
Just being Australian, obviously, and like he always has been. So that's my favourite player. Obviously, Joe would be another one. Just in terms of like career and stuff. Yeah, I'd like. Yes, everyone wants Neil's career, but also Joe's had like a great career as well. So for me, Joe would also be it, and then what did you say? It has to be like snooker. So, I'm not one of those ones that scream out Ronnie and all that kind of stuff. So he wouldn't be on my amount.
No.
Yes, he's a great player, but it's not. I mean, Hendry for me is like the other one, and it'd be Steve Davis. But I think I would take out Hendry and put Walter Lindrum.
Okay.
Just from him being Australian as well.
Yeah.
Just one of those ones. So yeah, Neil, Joe, Walter Lindrum, and Steve Davis.
Cool. A bit of homework for before you travel. Look at Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, I'll have a look. Never heard of it. Yeah.
Can't believe it.
No.
Right, the last question I always ask, and I always do give the guests a few days to have a think. And I know you've been struggling, but what's your funniest snooker story?
Yeah, I still don't really like. Obviously, I have a few, but they're not gonna get said. Like it's just that it's not gonna happen. But I was just like things happened. Like when I was gonna meet, everyone knew like Neil. I was meant to meet him at Barnsley to watch his match, and I called him up at 6:30, playing at 7, and yeah, he said he was in Barnsley, but he wasn't in the right Barnsley.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Like that because I was in Leeds for a Q Tour event. And I travelled like 45 minutes to go watch him play, to meet him there, and he didn't turn up. But like just little things like that, and I mean, I turned up at Q School with my waistcoat and trousers and shirt, but I'd put on weight, so none of them fit me. So I had to go and then rebuy a whole set, wearing a waistcoat for Q School that was one of the off the racks in Next. So it just used to come up halfway up my back.
Yeah.
And I got told off by the referee because apparently it looked bad. Yeah. Other than that, I haven't had like funny stories.
No, I think it's quite a good one.
Yeah, I'll always remember because that was in Wigan, the Q School in Wigan. Yeah, that waistcoat's been long gone. That one.
Right, I'm going to say thank you very much.
No worries.
To yourself for coming on and having a chat with me.
Yep, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for everyone that's watching, listening, however you're tuning in. So we wish Ryan the best of luck at the WST Classic.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
And like I said earlier, well done on the win, or unfortunate that you're
on the loss. Yeah. No worries. Thanks, Mark.
So thanks very much. And next time we should hopefully be having Jensen Kendrick on, which will be another good one.
Yep.
So I will see you all soon.
See you, mate.